It's self-love.
You want to be the boy or the girl?
Oh my God.
You got Facebook going? Hi Facebook,
different type of
welcome
book
to
launch.
our book launch party.
You must understand the touch of your hand.
All right, now we're gonna dance.
React.
Move it. You girls
That
want to
is
dance
only
too?
the thrill for me. Girl, opposites attract. It's physical. Only logical. You must try to ignore that it means more than that. Oh, what's love got to do? Got to do with it. What's love but a second-hand emotion? What's love got to do? Got to do with it. Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken?
Thank you, Jake, my musician. I want to thank every single one of you for coming tonight to our book launch party, What Self-Love Got to Do with It. 4 years ago, when I was working with my business mentor and creating an online business and a platform and my website, and he said, you know, you could write an ebook or this or that, and my words to him were, I'm not an author, I'm a chiropractor. I work in my office with my patients, I provide health and wellness information to them, and I do workshops, but I don't write and I'm not an author. Those were my words to me, and that was my own self-limiting belief because, oh, guess what? I'm now a published author! And we are international bestseller.
Oh,
We
wow.
have authors on both sides of the border, and this is, I'm speechless. It's surreal. I can't believe it. I didn't know that that would be something that would be added to something that I would do and be part of. And the journey has really been wonderful. And so I have my publisher and fellow co-author Heather Andrews with us here tonight, all the way from Calgary, which is so amazing. And I'm very appreciative of that. So I want to talk a little bit about self-love. So Tina's song, when you listen to that and you know some of her history and some of the things that she's gone through in her life and the trials and tribulations, you have to know that there must have been time of reflection and soul searching and, you know, coming to terms with some of the challenges that she faced in her life. And that certainly did happen because now she's been married to her husband for over 10 years and they've been together for 30. So finding self-love truly is important, and that's one thing that I learned on my journey and through the lessons that were put forward to me. And when we hear her song that we just had the pleasure of participating in, and the kids said I should have spent less on the shoes and more on the dancing, but that's all good. What's love but a second-hand emotion? That line really resonated with me because why are we putting so much stock into something we can't control in receiving our love from others? Our self-worth and our meaning and our value. Why do we rely on others for that to show up for us? So self-love, why is love a second-hand emotion? When we place that much value in someone else, that really takes value away from us and empowerment away from us. And another thing that I'm involved in is the Empowered Women's Circle that I want to mention. And Heather is a part of our Empowered Women's Circle as well. Dr. Catherine Hansen and I, it's been over 1.5 years that we've been with the Empowered Women's Circle. You can attend virtually, Facebook Live. You can attend from anywhere. Just check out my website. The link is right there. It's free. It's women coming together in community and sharing self-love. And that's why this is such an important community. And a lot of you are members of the Empowered Women's Circle and have attended, and some aren't. So I welcome everyone. You can check that out. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that now because I'll forget and then it won't happen. So we can talk a little bit about that later. But so in regards to love and loving yourself and putting that much stock in what others think, you have to remember that no one's reality is your reality. No one's perceptions are your perceptions, and no two people experience life in the exact same way. The reason why I say that is because each of us have had different experiences throughout our lifetime, different relationships, different episodes, different incidences, which create the filters that we use to view our world, whether they be rose-colored glasses or purple or black or whatever. We have filters, and these are learned experiences from the experiences that we've had, from teachings that we've had from our parents, and all our upbringing, school, classmates, bullying, you know, all those life events that form us as people. And so when you put that much stock in what others perceive, you have no control over any of that and what their perceptions are and how they're going to reflect that back to you. So one thing that I've learned is by developing better self-love practices for myself and self-care, that has then enabled me to shift my energy, because we're all energetic beings, and whatever you are going through or whatever you're perceiving, an energy is radiating from you, and others respond to that energy. So if you've had a really bad day and things are really down and you're really low, your energy reflects that. If you have a super exciting day and life is fabulous like this day, then your energy is different and people respond to you differently like that. So when you start to change your mindset and change your outlook and the self-talk that you have for yourself, that changes your energy. And others see that. Others will then respond to you differently because of the energy that you're exuding from yourself. So the definition of insanity is to not be happy with where you are, to expect things to be different, but yet doing the same thing over and over and over. That's the definition of insanity. So if there's some things that you would like to change or some things that you want different, then start taking a different step forward. And that is a huge component of self-love and self-care. Doing things for you. Because we are taught that self-care is selfish. We are taught and brought up that we should always do unto others and provide for others and give to others, and that's what we should do. Well, as some others have said, stop shoulding on yourself and start practicing self-care. When you do take care of yourself, that enables you to give so much more to others around you because you're recharging your batteries, you're energizing your mind, body, and spirit. You are now coming from a refreshed place and you have more energy to give to others. So you're actually more capable of providing. And especially as we find ourselves now in the sandwich generation, where you may have children and other young ones to look after in the household, but then you may also have parents or neighbors or friends who may be ill and they need your help as well. And so that really tears us in so many different directions that can really run us ragged. So self-care is everything. And that's what I want to leave you with right now. And I want to welcome my dear friend and colleague and fellow co-author and the publisher of What Self-Love Got to Do With It, Heather Andrews, all the way from Calgary and Follow It Through Publishing. Yay! Love you. That's what self-love got to do with it.
So how many of you guys have ever wanted or have been through an obstacle that's kind of held you back a little bit, and how have you come through it and learned from it? Or have you felt that you have been victimized by life? So how many of you have overcome an obstacle in your life? Perfect. And how many of you think that you have a story within your life that you could share or help? And how many believe that those stories actually help inspire others? Yeah? Okay. So I was not always a publisher. I never really was a great writer. And it's just through the power of 3 words that I've really learned that have come near and dear to my heart in the last probably 3 years since my life was basically pulled from underneath me. And I had one day I went to work, and then at the end of that day, I did not have a job, right? Because I was restructured out. So I always talk about the hashtag of restructured to reinvented, because I started my life over at the age of 45. I picked a new career, and I moved forward from it. The hardest words I ever had to utter were, honey, I lost my job today. because everything that I had done was wrapped up in my job. My identity, my self-worth. I thought I was empowered, but really I was a people pleaser. So all of those things have, and when something is taken away from you unexpectedly, or life hits you upside the head with something that you're not expecting, your reaction to it is really one of huge test. Would you agree? Right? Okay. So this is where, in that moment, I decided that the hardest words were, honey, I lost my job today. Because there was a lot of uncertainty that went with that, because we have a family of 5, and I was the breadwinner in our home. And so to go from being in that space and being a leader in your industry and then being restructured out, what do you think happens to self-worth? What do you think happens to self-esteem? What do you think happens to self-confidence? Hits the floor, right? And not to mention, there's a certain stigma that goes along with a job loss. Even if you didn't do anything wrong, and even if it is a restructuring, it's like, how come I got chosen to be that person? Little did I know, and I mean, you always know in your gut of gut that it happened for a reason, because, you know, the universe was moving you along. Like, you're not supposed to be here anymore, so we're going to usher you out the door. So I really speak to what self-love got to do with it, because in my journey as an entrepreneur, because I basically went home that day and said to my husband, yes, I lost my job. However, I have a plan, and just bear with me. I've got this, but I need you to support me on this, because I am not working full-time in any job ever again. Hard words for a spouse to hear, but I stood in that power, even though my self-worth was down here, because I believed that there was something different for me. And on that day, I made a choice. I kind of went into survivor mode, and which, you know, the universe has been nice enough to teach me many lessons along the way. But the thing was that I wanted to create something different. I wanted to lead generations. I wanted to help inspire others as I had been inspired and mentored by other people. It was my turn to start to teach, as I had taught my employees and mentored my employees and things like that, because we were a multi-million-dollar facility with over 70 employees. So that day, I went back to school and I became a coach. Got my coaching certification, and through that year, I was really, to go and teach others, you first of all have to learn the lessons. I can't tell you on 2 hands, because I think it's more like 4 hands, the lessons that were taught to me. And just through that journey, I was open to be receiving of other people, other connections, and traveling that road. And through that, I met a wonderful lady by the name of Deanne Roundrow. And how Follow It Through Publishing was born was through one connection and an invitation, but to write in a compilation book very similar to what we just produced. And that changed my coaching company, it changed my life, it changed how I felt about me, and I also learned that I could write. And I also learned that all of those skills that I had learned in that space of my job, I was able to move forward. And also too, I was scared. I thought, what are my kids gonna think? And I asked them, I said, what do you think about this? And the best words they said to me were, Mom, you go do you. So sometimes our children teach us more than we can teach ourselves, because they saw something in me that I couldn't see at that time, because I was jaded, I was guarded, I was angry. So then we went through the motions of, you know, launching the book, and it hit international bestseller in December of 2016. And it was just a business about women in business who started companies and all the lessons that they learned. And through that, I landed up meeting a lady by the name of Kate Gardner, who was the publisher. And in January of 2017, 1 month later, she said, I think that you would be, have you ever thought about publishing? And she says, because you have all the assets that would make a great publisher. And I'm like, it's not what I thought. So sometimes the universe can deliver you something, and you can either step into it and open up to it, or you can go, no, I'm not doing this, right? So the theory here is that I just really say, you know, be open to something if you are looking for a change. If something isn't sitting right in your life, you know, just kind of lean in a little bit, step in. It's just one step and everything can change. Because from that day, we launched our first book, Obstacles Equal Opportunity, and I talked about my job loss. Because at that time in Alberta, oil and gas was plummeting. It's 2000, I told the story about 2015 because I went through a grieving process about my own job. And I wanted to help inspire others that were still sitting in that same space. And so through that, I moved into the space of, we launched Obstacles Equal Opportunity, and it did really, really well on the US side of the border. It went bestseller. Then I took kind of the hiatus, and then we launched, then the next journey that kind of was really resonating with me was I wanted to bring together moms, because we all hear overwhelmed parents. I'm overwhelmed, I feel guilty, I this and I'm that. But you can have it all with choice. So we launched the Real Journey of the Empowered Mom Boss. And that one went #1 on both sides of the border. It was amazing. And through that journey, we had follow-through publishing was born, really. And then we did what self-love got to do with it. So through that journey, I mean, I never expected it. I didn't. And in that time, we've had 70 people who have had stories. They never thought they were writers, but they decided to embrace upon something different and come together in a group of 3 compilations and put their stories out to the world. And through that, I have seen, like, to love yourself enough to know that there's power within your story. To know that there is somebody who needs your story. Because even if you just change the life of one person, the power of your story is huge. But the thing here is sometimes we don't love ourselves enough to believe in our own story. And we think that my story is not strong enough, or my story is not good enough, or I'm not good enough, and we live our life with fear of what others will think. And I'm just going to say that, and Stacey and other authors can attest to this, is what happens when you tell your story to the world, and is what happened for me, is a sense of empowerment. And I discovered a sense of self-love. And I found that from that place down here where I felt like that there wasn't anything that I could offer the world, I'm offering the world other people's real stories. And so when we offer the question, what self-love got to do with it? Honestly to goodness, it has everything to do with it. It has everything from the choices that you make, how you show up in your life, how you show up for work, how you show up for your family, how you show up even in your relationship with money. It affects every single piece of your life. And when you believe in yourself and you go into your heart and you really look within, that is where the love affair with you begins. As it did with me. I had to turn off the outside worlds that Stacey's talk about. I had to just go in to find that space. And that is really why I'm on the mission that I am. Because I feel that I've been put in this place to help to bring stories to life and bring women and men together to share those stories so that we can change the world for other people. Because I'm a true believer in our younger generation. They live in a tough world. And if there's something that we can do through our power of our story, through what we've been through, because every person's journey is unique and different, and we've all taken something out of it that other people will not. And so when we look into that space of, the choices you make, so if there's something in your life that is not feeling right, or that you just feel something different, you have a choice. You have to just look within, love yourself enough to know that you deserve something different, that you need something different. If you want something different, you have the choice to go out and create that. And it's also fine, and we all have that power within us and the people that we surround ourselves with, and we can go out and model that. So within that power, you plug into yourself, your heart, because so much of our time is spent in our head, and we listen to this constant chatter up here, but really, we need to be spending more time here and listening to what's going on in here, because this is it's the sustenance of your life. It's what beats every day, and it keeps you alive. And so you have to turn this off, even though it's hard sometimes. Turn off that chatter and really go into your heart to really what you're supposed to be doing. Because we have, the chakras, and they tell us what we want in our life and in our body, and I know Stacey can talk to that as well. And so when you plug into that, you step into something totally different. When you start listening with your heart and you start plugging into people with heart, it's amazing the things that we can change. And by publishing these stories and compilations, there's stories that would have never been told, and lives that would never have been inspired and changed if people weren't, and they had to bust through the fear. And the result of telling their story is a sense of freedom, a sense of empowerment. And I've seen women and men go on to live better lives because of that freedom that's been set. So once you tune into that love of what self-love got to do with it, which is the foundation for everything in your life, you create, you can choose something different because it's a choice. It's a choice on how we react to what's going on in our life. We can choose to live the lessons, or we can play the victim. And we can stand in that place. And then what happens is you can go in and when you find that, you can go in and step in and create something different. And, you know, I've seen so many living proofs of that. So I just want to, so that's sort of the power of your story, is it's just one that really is just, I just encourage you to just, as you walk away and we celebrate the book tonight, and just celebrate the love that's in this room, is just really find that love within yourself and just join our community, what self-love got to do with it, because we're on a mission. It's a vision that I have to take this to the next level, because it hurts my heart when I hear women say that they're not good enough to do this, 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 and this. And when I see that it's affecting kids, and suicide rates are going through the roof because they feel that they don't have the tools to go out and live. That's where I come from, and that's why I do what I do. And that book was created because of a journey that was, it just came, and it's now a reality in today's world. So with that, I thank you, and I just want you guys to just embrace tonight, celebrate with us, and just once again, just love, make a choice, find that power within you. You've got support here in this room with Stacey, myself, our community, and just go out and choose to create something different, because you have something. Your story needs to be heard. Somebody needs your story, and that is really where that's where my voice is from. So I thank you for joining us. Thank you for having me, and I'm just so very blessed to be here. Don't go away.
So, on Facebook, you can join our community. What's Self-Love Got to Do with It? It's an open group where you can mingle with all the authors. Everyone here is welcome to join there too. And our Empowered Women's Circle will meet here the second Wednesday of July and the second Wednesday of August. That's another free community. We have a page on Facebook, Empowered Women's Circle. We have Empowered Women's Circle group on Facebook. And the link is also on my website, drstaceycooper.com. So join us there on Facebook. Love to all. Cheers. Everybody toast.
Oh, yeah.
Where did yours go?
Mine.
Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Cheers. And self-love to everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome.
Cheers.